Rykoff in, host of the Independent Americans podcast. So that he's going after affordability, which is something I'm sure a lot of independents think about. And where he is a really independent area, Swing County.
I think that's a smart strategy. I think that's a smart strategy to reach everybody in America, but especially independents. It's much more effective than questioning Kamala Harris's race or the name calling or attacking Tim Walz's record. I mean, this is the guts of what America is concerned about, affordability. Everybody feels like prices are too high. Everybody wants solutions. And it's smart for them to finally get focused. It looks like that's what a focused campaign looks like, because they've been in crisis control mode a lot. And this would be a much more winning strategy, especially if you want to reach independents.
Yep. It's always a question about whether the top of the ticket can be as disciplined as and not that Vance has necessarily been known for his discipline either, but as the vice presidential candidate, I don't know. Veterans issues is also right up your alley, and I want to talk to you about this issue that's come up over the last couple of days at Arlington National Cemetery, the Trump campaign. New York Times headline first. Let's put it in some context. Trump team clashed with an official at Arlington. The military cemetery said in a statement, federal law prohibits political campaigning on the grounds, and that, quote, there was an incident. The report was filed. Apparently, there was a photographer there. There's some back and forth with officials who were there. Now, as for what we heard from Paul Rykoff, he'll add to this in a moment. Let's put up Paul's commentary on social media with this photo of Trump giving the thumbs up you see there. Yeah, taking highly political campaign photos, giving a big smiling thumbs up over the grave of a fallen Marine, generally not allowed, definitely not cool, beyond weird, inappropriate at Arlington. And finally, the Trump campaign. This was Stephen Chung said. He's the spokesperson for the campaign. The fact that a private photographer was permitted on the premises and for whatever reason, an unnamed individual clearly suffering from a mental health episode decided to physically block members of President Trump's team during a very solemn ceremony, says the Trump campaign. So as we showed there, social media is something you obviously care about, something you were worked up about. Now that they've responded, what do you make of all this?
It's bad and it's wrong. I mean, I said in my tweet, it's not Disney World. You don't go down there to take selfies. It's a solemn place that must be respected. And I think most importantly here, Arlington National Cemetery put out a statement and they reinforced the rules. Right. The rules are in place for a reason, to protect that solemn space. And those rules apply to everybody, including the former commander-in-chief. So he's got to abide by those rules. I think it was an overly politicized event. And that picture speaks for itself. I think it's inappropriate. It's not the right kind of message, even for his political campaign. But the veterans community, large parts of it, are very upset about this, and it focuses on a pattern, right? There's been a pattern of missteps and insults, disrespect on the Medal of Honor and other recent issues. So it's a problem, and they're again in crisis mode. They say they have footage of this clash. If they have it, go ahead and release it. But either way, they've still got to abide by the rules of Arlington Cemetery, just like everybody else.
Because at first there were people giving him credit for being there in person. Kamala Harris wasn't there. Joe Biden's on vacation and marking this anniversary from Afghanistan, which I also want to ask you about. H.R. McMaster, who worked, of course, for Trump in the White House, the retired general, was on television last night about the withdrawal from Afghanistan, which everybody agrees was not handled well. But the question was, is it just Biden? Is it also Trump? Listen to this clip, then we can talk about Afghanistan. Let's listen.
Does Trump bear part of the responsibility for what happened?
Oh, yes. I mean, so the whole premise of talking to the Taliban before you leave Afghanistan, why the heck were we even doing that? You know,
he was going to invite them to Camp David.
Right. Even the Obama administration, when they made the mistake of pulling all of our troops out of Iraq in 2010, which really set conditions for the rise of ISIS and so forth by 2014, the Obama administration didn't negotiate with al-Qaeda in Iraq on the way out.
Okay. 3 years after Abbey Gate, give us the perspective on Afghanistan.
There's plenty of fault to go around. I mean, you could go all the way back to Obama. We were in Afghanistan for 20 years, and it was full of mistakes and full of missteps. But I think it is, in my view, the worst day of the Biden presidency. He was ultimately commander-in-chief at that moment. He was warned by me and countless other veterans advocates that if he pulled out too quickly, there would be a collapse. Afghans and Americans would be in danger, and that's what happened.
It's when his approval rating really started.
It did. It was summer of 2021. It was the bottoming out of the Biden administration. And it's really when he broke faith with a lot of the military and veterans community. They felt like he didn't have control of the situation, and they felt like he wasn't honest about how bad it was getting. And even now, nobody's been held accountable by him or by anyone else. And I think it's a real dark spot. It's a great American betrayal of Afghanistan. We've got friends that are still there dying under the Taliban, and it's forgotten for many people, but it's not forgotten for our veterans, and it's not forgotten for our friends in Afghanistan.
Thank you, Paul. As always, Paul Rykoff. Now,